Stop right there. If you clicked on this video, it means you are interested in tasting the sweet, sweet nectar that is financial freedom and figured that we, a trader, can assist you. Well, you, my friend, are totally right. Top of the morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And we encourage you to click on the subscribe button down there, as well as the tiny little bell next to it, because it'll keep you notified whenever we upload new videos, which will be every Monday morning. Alright, here is what went down at the Tanzanian stock market, which is known as the Dar-es-Salaam Stock Exchange this week. We will be breaking this down into equity market and the debt or bond market. All right, let's begin with equity market. Now, this is the part of the stock exchange that deals with shares of companies. And last week, the value of shares traded in the DSE amounted to 1.16 billion Tanzanian shillings. Now, let's quickly see if the previous week had more or less activity. As you guys can see from this graph over here, there has been a decrease, more specifically a 55% decrease in trading this week. And you also notice from this other graph that Monday had taken the lead in terms of which day had the most shares traded. First of all, you notice, that on Wednesday there was no information here. That's because Wednesday was a public holiday, and so the Dar-es-Salaam Stock Exchange was closed for the day. All right, getting back into it. Now, on Monday, there was a very large number of shares which were traded, and more specifically, they were the shares belonging to the one of the banking giants in Tanzania, which is CRDB PLC. And as last week, there was what we call a block trade prearranged market board, which occurs when an entity purchases many shares of a company at a prearranged price or a negotiated price, which is generally a lower price in the market than what it's priced at in the market. So 1.5 million CRDB shares were traded, which amounted to 91.3% of that value traded on Monday. And so that's why there was a very large difference between Monday and all the other days. Speaking of shares traded during the week, the specific number was 2,051,166. And this is relevant because we're going to break this down, as it'll basically tell us which companies investors were mostly interested in last week. All right, now at number one, we have CRDB Bank PLC. As previously explained, it accounted for 84% of the total volume traded for the week. At number two, we have NMB PLC, the other giant of the banking industry in Tanzania, which accounted for 13% of the total volume traded for that week. And finally, at number three, we have JATU PLC, which is the first agriculture-related company to be listed on the DSE, and it accounted for 2% of the total volume traded for the week. Moving on into the section where we'll be showing companies which experienced price changes during the week.
Alright, thank you very much, Ace, and we're now moving on to market capitalization. Just to finish off, the value of the whole market this week closed at 15.72 trillion on Friday, which was approximately a 1% decrease compared to 15.86 trillion on Monday. This was due to the fall of share prices in some cross-listed companies such as EABL, NMG, and KCB. Moving on to the share index, over here we have the all share index DSEI, which also fell by 1%. The share index is, of course, the average value of all the shares that are listed in the stock market. Moving on to the bonds market, now that the equity portion is over, let us zoom over to the treasury bond section. We want to know firstly if there was more activity this week as compared to last week. The value of treasury bonds traded during this week amounted to 71.24 billion Tanzanian shillings, which was a 243% increase in trading in this segment compared to last week. The appetite for 20-year treasury bonds, which offer a 15.49% coupon rate, is still very high. Finishing off with corporate bond section, there was more this week as compared to last week. On Friday, there was a trade of an NMB bond which matures in July 2022, and the bond gives investors a 10% coupon rate. Alright, thank you very much, investors and aspiring investors, for tuning in into this week's video. Feel free to interact with A Trader in any of our social media platforms and contact us in case of any other questions. Have a great week and karibuni sana.